The Galactic Defense Station trembled as another wave of Devourers slammed against its shields. In the command center, beings from dozens of worlds watched their displays with growing despair. The crystalline Zephyrians hummed in distress, their translucent forms flickering with anxious energy. The towering Braxan warriors, each standing nearly 3 meters tall, gripped their plasma rifles with hands that could crush titanium. Even the ancient ethereals, whose minds had guided the galaxy for millennia, seemed to shrink within their flowing robes. At the center of it all stood the smallest being in the room, Private Sarah Chen, barely 1.6 meters tall and weighing less than most alien children, studied the tactical display with calm brown eyes. While generals and admirals argued in 17 different languages, she traced patterns in the enemy formation that others had missed. "The Queen," she said quietly. Commander Vorthak, a Braxan whose battle-scarred hide told stories of 100 victories, turned his massive head toward her. What did the humans say? Sarah stepped forward, ignoring the way conversations died around her. She'd grown used to being overlooked in the 6 months since Earth had joined the Galactic Alliance. Humans were new, small, fragile, barely worth noting among the galaxy's great warrior races. "There's a queen in the center formation," she said, her voice carrying in the sudden silence. "Devourer swarms always protect their queens. They're not attacking randomly. They're maintaining a protective sphere around something in grid 77 Alpha. Admiral Thessarian, an ethereal whose species had been strategists when most worlds were still cooling rock, dismissed her with a gesture. Impossible. Our scans show no significant life signs in that sector. The Devourers are mindless consumers. They have no complex social structure." Sarah felt heat rise in her cheeks but kept her voice level. "With respect, Admiral, humans have been fighting insect swarms on Earth for thousands of years. We know how hive minds think." "The human speaks wisdom," rumbled General Crox, the largest Braxan in the room. His forearms crossed in a gesture of consideration. "Our own warrior poets speak of learning from the smallest creatures. Perhaps we should listen." Before anyone could respond, the station shuddered again. Emergency klaxons wailed as shield strength dropped another 10%. They had perhaps an hour before the Devourers broke through and consumed everything living on the station. Sarah looked around the room at beings who could bench press shuttlecraft, whose minds could calculate hyperspace trajectories, whose energy weapons could crack planets, all of them paralyzed by conventional thinking. "Permission to speak freely, sir?" she asked Admiral Thessarian. The ethereal's mental emanation suggested annoyed curiosity. "Granted." "You're all thinking like your species would fight," Sarah said. "The Zephyrians want to outmaneuver, the Braxans want to outmuscle, the ethereals want to outthink. But Devourers aren't any of your species. They're insects. And humans?" She smiled grimly. "We've been the apex predator on a world full of things trying to kill us. We know how to hunt." She moved to the tactical display, her small hands dancing, over controls that required the others to use multiple appendages. "Look at the formation again. See how they spiral? It's not defensive, it's feeding behavior. The queen is injured or molting, which means she's vulnerable. The swarm will die before they let anything near her." "Then how do we reach her?" asked Commander Vorthak. Sarah's smile turned predatory. "We don't fight our way through. We get invited in." 20 minutes later, Sarah sat in the pilot's seat of a captured Devourer scout ship, its bioorganic controls still warm under her hands. The ship stank of alien pheromones and decay, but she'd smeared herself with Devourer scent glands until she was nearly invisible to their chemical sensors. "Madness," General Crox had called it. "No warrior should face such dishonor." But Admiral Thessarian had understood. Sometimes the smallest key opened the largest door. Sarah guided the disguised ship into the swarm's outer edge, her heart hammering as massive Devourer dreadnoughts passed within meters of her hull. Each creature was the size of a city block, their segmented bodies bristling with bioweapons that could melt through any known armor. They ignored her completely. Deeper into the formation she flew, past layers of warriors and hunters, until she reached the protected center. There, cocooned in a web of living metal and chitin, hung something that made her breath catch. The queen was beautiful in a terrible way, a creature of flowing organic curves and bioluminescent patterns that pulsed with alien thought. She was also clearly dying, her massive form pale and shuddering. Sarah activated her comm system, broadcasting on all frequencies. "This is Private Chen to all Allied forces. I have visual on the Queen. She's not injured, she's molting, transforming into something new. Abort mission immediately," came Admiral Thessarian's voice. "Return to the station." "Negative, sir." Sarah began arming the small fusion device she'd carried into the swarm's heart. "If this queen completes her transformation, she'll birth a new generation of devourers that will consume half the galaxy. This ends here. Human, you cannot possibly escape." Commander Vorthak's voice carried something that might have been respect. "Your sacrifice will be remembered." Sarah laughed, a sound that startled even herself. Who said anything about sacrifice? She triggered the fusion device and immediately engaged the scout ship's emergency bioteleporter, Devourer technology, that could quantum tunnel living tissue across vast distances. As the explosion began to bloom behind her, Sarah felt herself dissolve into probability waves. She materialized on the station's deck just as the fusion blast tore through the Queen's cocoon. The Devourer swarm, suddenly leaderless and directionless, began attacking each other in confused rage. In the aftermath, as Allied fleets mopped up the remaining Devourers, Sarah found herself surrounded by alien officers who looked at her with something approaching awe. "How did you know the bioteleporter would work on human physiology?" asked Admiral Thessarian. Sarah shrugged, exhaustion finally hitting her. "I didn't. But humans have a saying, fortune favors the bold. Sometimes you have to take the risk." General Crox placed one massive hand gently on her shoulder. "In Braxton culture we have a saying too. The smallest blade can pierce the largest armor. Today, little warrior, you prove that wisdom." Word of the battle spread quickly through the Galactic Alliance. Not the story of overwhelming firepower or brilliant strategy, but of a small human who had walked into the heart of an alien nightmare and emerged victorious through courage and ingenuity. Within weeks, recruitment offices on dozens of worlds reported unprecedented interest in learning human tactical doctrine. The smallest soldier had indeed taken the lead, and entire alien legions followed, eager to learn what it meant to fight with human heart. Sarah Chen, meanwhile, returned to her duties as a private. But now when she spoke in strategy meetings, the galaxy listened.